All right, now we're going to talk about some cards we're hyped for, and I
Ooh.
started with mine.
Ooh,
I'm hyped for Stila Guerrera in set three because I love that. I mean, when Jabba, it's got spoiled like it's in the first set, but I love pulling tricks with Jabba. Justin, you love pulling tricks with Jabba. You've made a
yep.
lot of lists that are like, let me pull some tricks. Well, if you
Yeah.
like
hmm
tricks, let me introduce you to tactics.
Tactics.
Tactics are flippin' insane. And what I love about Stila Guerrera is a lot of times control decks struggle to have a unit that actually advances their game plan. And what a control deck wants to do is outvalue you. And what Stila does is she gives you these cards that they're often one for ones, but because she found it for you for free or like for 2 damage on your base, you're getting a Fell the Dragon, a Takedown, a Vanquish, a Bombing Run, an Open Fire. You're getting something that kills something else, and she's going to take a card with her too, presumably.
Right.
Um, at 3 health, she's probably not killing two things, but for the low cost of 2 damage on your base to get a full on removal card or a pump or a bounce card, I just think that she is incredible in terms of like what we can do with deck building and put in our hands.
She's also like in control decks. It is really solid in that, like, say you're playing against like villain control in the late game and like they drop a devastator, like you can just steal a fell. You know what I mean? Like that's a very reasonable turn
Yeah.
that you can have. And now you have your unit and you've dealt with their thing. You're a little more agile. You could even play her in like Blue Han
Yeah.
for 3. Like, yeah, she's a 4/1. Like but like,
Right.
do you
That's
really
right.
care?
Her
Like you're
job
just
is
trying to.
just yeah.
So then she's a 4/1 for 3 that gets you, to highly impactful events. So yeah,
Yeah, I like
that's
her
it.
there. The death rattle's really cool.
Yeah.
That she gets to take like a removal, and you do 4 damage, but in those control mirrors, you're not really caring. So being able to outcard in the makes
Yeah.
like discard a little better, like because you're not just like staying even with your discard.
Hmm.
You're actually like pulling ahead on cards.
Yeah, and I really love that sort of the line Matt was alluding to, but just playing her in the late game is so
Yep.
great because you can play her on 8 resources and take a 4. You could take a fell or a
Yeah, that's
takedown or
pretty
something,
cool.
Yep.
and not only that, but in those control mirrors, you do have to win the game, and 4 attack is no slouch, and it
Yeah.
does force them to deal with her while she already took one of their cards. So you're getting a little bit of a 2 for 1. So I really like her as a control card and not to play her on turn 3, but to actually like use her late in the game. You can obviously play her on turn 3 if you don't have anything else to do and you want to build a board and then, be able to sit behind these. But I agree about Matt's
Well,
point about Han too. It's just like getting her for even
Yeah.
cheaper.
A 4/1 that does that. Because, like,
What's her
seeing all the
relation to
space.
Thaw?
Sister.
Sister.
Yeah.
That's cool.
like, what
Spoiler
if you just
alert.
like play her on turn 2
She
in
doesn't
Blue
care.
Hod? Like, what do they do? If
Dude,
you're
and
playing
there's some
oh,
other, I don't think
Yeah.
I see it here. There's another tactic that would go in the sideboard, which is disruptive burst, give each enemy -1/-1 till the end of the phase. So, like, now we're talking about fringe sideboard cards too, of like she can pull that against like a token deck.
Yeah.
So pretty
That's
sick.
great.
I'm like, yeah, I'm now looking through all the tactics too. Don't worry, I'm still here. But
Yeah.
like, and another thing I just wanted to bring up really quick was the like we just saw those space decks pop up, right? Like Mike shows, like she pulls make an opening for the TIE Phantom that's not going anywhere. That card's insane.
Yeah.
So like,
And there are a
yeah,
ton
I
of
think this is a
tactics.
great call out, Mike, and one that,
I just pulled out a couple, but like there's tons of tactics.
yeah. Pillage is a tactic. So like,
Oh, it is.
there you go. Yeah. So like in Han, you could go like turn 2, steal a guerrera, and then they like you pull the pillage, and they're just like,
Yeah.
what do I
Even
do
just
here?
having it, they
Yeah,
pull
but
it
then
like
you
fast.
docky pillaging on turn 3.
No, but
No, but
you don't have to. You
because
just you could even
force their
resource
play.
it.
Yeah.
You just fuck with them.
I should say this is the segment where we talk about things we're hyped about for Twilight of the Republic.
Yeah,
I think I kind of glazed over that.
that's
One of
okay.
the things I'm
Bombing
hyped
run,
for is this insane Twilight of the Republic
Ooh.
mat. I have the
dude.
high ground.
The mat is so sick.
Yeah, the mat's
Oh,
fire.
You should just do the
Sims,
entire pod from behind the mat.
we
It's funny
have
how
we have a sick thumbnail with that art that I need to collaborate with you on a video.
yeah.
But I have it, and I just don't know what that video is going to be. Sometimes you do the thumbnail before the video. Dude, yeah, there's a lot of good tactics, man.
All right,
Cool.
next guy I want to talk about is Quinlan. Justin, you're on mute. I don't know if you know that you're on mute or not, but Quinlan is a leader that I'm pretty hyped about. I think that flipping on 5 for a 3/7 alone, just 7 HP flip on 5 resources, is busted. If he was blank, I would still be talking about him.
Yeah.
What he does is sort of the thing that, Maddie, you were doing with Boba 2, which is just like trade up, like be able to attack for +1 when you come in with an ambush unit, and he lets you kind of do that and kill the things that have been problematic. Think about the guys that are so hard to kill. A Sabine right when she flips, a Tech, a Boba right when he flips, a leader, just like always having the guys that have bigger booties at that stat level. With the right ambush unit, Quinlan takes them out and can play at parity, and he's really hard to kill too. So
Yeah,
that's
I
where you
love a
can
leader like this,
play,
man. I think
put
that's
a
another good
lightsaber
call
on
out.
him.
He's also
and
like
he can wear
yellow.
equipment well.
Yellow white is like a color combination that yellow hero, cunning hero is a color combination that's very strong and also has like really strong cards coming out in set 3 with it. There's about like 5 or 6 cards like Plo and Clear the Field and R2. There's a whole Ahsoka. There's a whole bunch of those cards that are really great. I agree. I think the 5 cost 7 booty's huge. His I'm not sure everyone knows who he is. I think if he was like an Obi, he'd be more of a centerpiece of like the marketing for this set.
It is
sort of off
a
to
great
this
point,
side.
Jeff.
It's
I have no
weird.
clue who he is.
Yeah,
I wish
FX
He's like
is
probably
the-
going to be one of the best leaders in this set, and this is such a nitpick, but it is true. Like you could have given that to someone with a
This
little
is
more
Could have given this to
recognition.
Obi Force Jedi Republic. Like it's the
Yeah.
same. It's the same traits. Cunning. Like Obi-Wan was very cunning. He wasn't just like a blue card. It would have been awesome if this was just Obi. Like just if they had just swapped these two.
Yeah.
and I
Well,
don't.
that's
Yeah,
good.
I don't. I think they did Quinlan because Quinlan has like basically dates Ventress in the books, like they're together sort of, but it's like tumultuous because of the
Ooh.
light versus dark thing.
Oh.
He's a cool like character because he was a background character in episode 1. And
Phantom
they just
Menace.
made Phantom Menace, and they just made a character out of him, like basically out of like saying that's a cool looking guy in the background, which like I can appreciate, but also like agreed. Like if you're gonna make the best stats that we can get, can you put it on someone cool? And the other thing, Justin's like, they are getting all those awesome yellow cards. There have been other great yellow hero cards. What there hasn't been is an even remotely playable yellow hero leader for the most part. So like we
Yeah, like
finally
first.
get one, and it's
I think just want to go
Han
back
won?
to one. Yeah, Han won, but
yeah. All right, so Han 1 is a play. Yeah, all right, I take that back. But he is not.
He's a
he's a
very
little
different.
different.
Yeah.
Han won.
Yeah,
He's
it's
a little different.
right.
He's
Han
also
one's sick, but
Yeah,
there is
I
like
know what
there's
you're
an
saying.
inherent deck style with that like if you don't want to play that style of like this kind of risk reward, like losing cards to gain advantage, like then you're kind of locked out. Like you're not going to play Jin Urso. So like to Mike's point, like there is Han and he is sick, but he is like a very linear style. And if you wanted to play like something else, you're kind of like out of luck.
Yeah, and he's not.
Also, I just want to
winning
go back to one of Mike's other points that he just said right now. He's like, Quinlan is getting this prominent role because he dates Ventress, which in my mind, like Ventress somehow has pull with FFG, and she's like, "That's my boyfriend." Put him on a good
Yeah.
card. It's like, what exactly does that mean?
I
Like,
guess
why?
like if everyone loves Ventress, and a lot of people do, like it makes sense. Like satisfy the horde, the Ventress horde.
My boyfriend put him on a good one.
So those were my cards that I was hyped for, and then the hype that you guys have been saying, like Maddie gave me these, which I thought would be a nice feed in for
Yellow
Quinlan
white.
because
Right.
these are great cards to play in Quinlan. So Maddie, why are you
Right.
hyped about these?
Yeah, so I've been testing a lot of Quinlan. I think he's really solid. I think that there's a couple good versions, like obviously like Tarkentown pairs well with him, but like just ECL. And so like you can ECL in Sabine, and a big problem with like when you're making that move, like taking that 5 health and like ECLing something that's not like going to end the game like a wreck or something, it can get kind of traded back really easily, and Sabine just shuts the door on that. And then if you were able to hit the on attack, then she's like got kind of Death Trooper vibes where she's able to even get a little crazier. So like the reason why like I like these cards also in with Quinlan is like now when we're building decks, we're starting to build in lines, and one of the sickest lines is like Sabine ping with Quinlan, take out the Sabine leader. So like, how am I gonna pair my deck into the opposition? And then like Plo with coordinate is able to take out Boba, right? Because it's the ping plus the raid 3 if you have coordinate, and which is not super hard to like. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's still very doable, especially when you deploy your leader on 5 as
Right, I was
well.
just about to say that you get your leader, and you got cards like R2 that just stick around. So
Yep,
all you need
exactly.
is one unit and your leader not to die on instantly.
Yep.
Up into 5. So that seems really
Yeah, and the
reasonable.
7
Yeah.
Bree is what makes that possible.
And
but
like
yeah,
the thing
being
that
able to go to 7 on 5
is
resource
insane.
attack and 5 on a 4 resource attack is really hard to find in this game.
I 100% agree. And the other thing too is like the issue like I've had with coordinate is not that like it might be hard to do. It's that like some of the payoffs like don't even make sense. Whereas like this one is extremely
Well,
strong and makes sense. Whereas like another one, and I get it, there has to be draft chaff, but it's like it's a 3-cost 2/4 that if you have coordinate gets sentinel, it's like we already have 3-cost 2/4 sentinels. Like what is yeah, it has a better tagline. So like
Yeah,
that's been my issue with coordinate, and then this like Plo is like the use case for like why coordinate can be cool. You know what I mean? Like this is why you would play it. So yeah, I think those cards are insane. I think Sabine also like she wears equipment well. Like you can, when you're getting into these race situations, like you blast her for 6, and they're like, if they don't play bounce or something, like they're kind of looking at her like, how do I deal with this thing? And it has that Ty Lurking Phantom vibe to me.
she's like the inverse of Lurking Ty. She can't be ambushed. She can be removed with a spell.
Right.
And waylay is just for everyone.
Yeah, got to be playing your waylays.
Any thoughts on these, Steve?
No, I dig it. I think they covered a lot of the base. I'll be really interesting to see if people can build a equipment type base deck around Sabine, similar to like you guys are talking about TIE Phantom, and just like smashing in or like pumping her up really big.
Yeah, there's that new card too that you can slam on people to make it so they can't be bounced, which is cool.
One thing I'll say about like Plo and Quinlan is an interesting line that's going to come up like strategically is like Quinlan flipping versus not flipping to
Right.
activate Plo, and then like killing Quinlan, which would then make Plo like kind of really bad. Like imagine if Boba has like a 4 attack unit out or something like that, and you're thinking like, okay, I'm gonna get my Plo to kill him on sight, and they like surprise strike or something like that.
Yeah.
I can see that being a thing of like stopping that for a turn because your whole deck is designed to be like exactly get
Gamos
them.
are coming back,
Mhm.
baby.
Yeah, exactly.
This is why
Camo
we
would
love
be
Gamos. It's just like
Yeah.
kill 7.
Sentinel.
They kill 7.
Rush
They have
Clovis
Sentinel to
can
stop
be
this kind of stuff.
attacking and doing some stuff.
Ooh, Rush.
Clovis attacks for 5, baby. Blast it.
Love to see it.
And then here's one of Justin's that is also yellow, also works really well with Quinlan because he's so hard to kill right when he flips. You do have an opportunity to pull something with one of his traits, which, Jedi is a good one. Justin, what were you thinking when you've been brewing with this?
Yeah, so basically my big sort of aha moment with this card was that I soured on it a lot when I was like, okay, it's gonna go with the leader, it's gonna go with a Jabba, and then I'm gonna play like a 8-drop early or a 7-drop early. I'm actually really excited about playing it on turn 2. And sometimes, so this is what I think of this card is that the majority of the time it's not going to be that great. But if you're able to go 2-drop, let's say in Boba is the most obvious, you theme it off of Underworld. You play all turn 1 plays that are Underworld, but 13 or something, you up it a little bit. And then because you want all these 5-drops like Zuckuss and Bosk and Syndicate lackeys, when you draw this card paired with any of the 5-drops, which you're going to have a bunch of, you'll have at least 9 in your deck. You just get to play a 5-drop on turn 2. So like basically you get to do 2 resupplies for a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And like the games where you just, especially Zuckuss on turn 2, just seem like you just are going to, that's just like such a broken thing. Going back to Magic where you're able to like play a Black Lotus, like you're not, mana ramping, but you're playing it like one thing, and it's just like this awesome
ritual
thing
style
out there. That's going to be like something like, you think like Affinity gets to do all this stuff early. So I think this card's going to be really good there. And I think, Boba's the one that I've been the most excited about doing it with. because it's got a lot of synergy. Jabba does find it; he would be in the deck, and you could do it later with like the new Cad Bane and Maul as well.
Right.
So it's not totally dead, but like I think you just have to embrace like you're playing a 47 card deck where one out of every 6 or 7 games you're just going to draw this little mini combo on turn 2, and you're going to do something really broken, and then it might have other aspects. The other side of it is I think I like it in or I do like it in decks with R2 that have a lot of Republic. There's some sort of stepping stones there, but I think the 2 to 5 thing, or the changing your turn 2 play to a 5 cost play, 5 resource play, is really strong. And then you still want the ability to like only have a leader, and then play some 7s. So playing, for instance, Mace, Maul, Cad Bane are the 3 that I'm really excited about. Sort of jumping those guys out early, because you can play with this card. You can play like a turn 3 Maul. Like you can play resupply on turn 2, and then Boba, and then play like have an early Boba turn with a Maul, which is insane.
That's sick.
I think it.
Oh, go ahead, Steve.
I was just saying, I think it's real interesting too in what you're talking about, because you look at Boba Green and how little 4-drops they actually play, and the deck is already kind of built going from like 3 to 5 resources. So you already can naturally just slide this in, and without having to really curtail your curve too much to accomplish what you're trying to do, Justin.
Yeah, I like that. And
the list I have is like, it looks like a regular Boba deck. I think I had like I had one that like didn't have super laser tech, but it did have resupply, but it just didn't feel like I still had all the cards that I wanted. Like I think I had like 1 less blaster, and I had like 1 less no good to me dead or something like that. Or maybe I didn't have 7 fleet defender, because that card's kind of awkward with this. It was kind of like awkwardly sticks around, and it's not your theme. But yeah, it's cool, and you get to like do really cool things with like Salacious Crumb and McClunky too, where if you draw 2 of these cards, that's the one thing I like about this in Boba that kind of puts it over the other side, is like if you ramp in with like say R2 into like an Anakin, which is super cool, it's going to be harder to sort of get to the next level, because you still want to be like playing units and stuff like that. But with the Boba deck, you can do like McClunkies and bouncing your own cards, so you bounce back. So oftentimes you'll have like only 1 unit out.
That's a great point.
It's really cool with Jabba on a lot of levels.
Yeah, I like also that you can
Trick 2.
You can go like Steve said, Boba doesn't really have 4-drops or too many, but you can go from like Fleet Defender right into Fire Spray for the 4 resource turn, which is cool.
Spicy.
Not 7th Fleet,
not Fire Spray.
But yeah, you could have an Underworld out, 1 Underworld out, and go into Fire Spray. Right?
Well,
on 4
no,
resources.
non-vehicle.
Oh, it's non-vehicle. I always forget that. My bad.
Yeah, and it's funny. The Fire Spray is like still in the deck, but I'm like, do we cut it? And they play like it's like a 6-drop, like a Bounty Hunter Crew or something like that. But it's not worth it.
I think the shout to Underworld 2 is good, because like you can put like crafty smugglers kind of survive, or like I was looking at like if you did it in Hero, you could do like crafties and leets. And then
Fortuna is really cool, making it cost less. If you do like turn 1 bib, you could. The thing is, there's no like 6-drop to do the next turn.
Yeah.
You turn 3 Maul if you do bib, which is pretty sick. Just that way without a resupply. So bib's another way that does it. Cad Bane, like playing a Cad Bane on like 7 resources is like cool. But by that point, like the game sort of stabilized a lot. If you just play a Cad Bane on like turn 3 and they have like 2 units out, and you just like
take them both.
Wrath of God when you have a 7/7, you draw 2 cards when you free their like 2-drop. Like
this with Cad just seems absolutely stupid.
Yeah, I'm super excited about just playing this, and I think the big thing embracing it, like, yeah, you draw it later in the game. It's like drawing a resupply when you've already used resupply or laser tech terrain. You just resource it and you just embrace it. You're not trying to do weird things. You're not like trying to kill your own units or McClunky like a Bosk, because just
still play the game. Don't spin your wheels trying to make it happen.
You know what's a cool thing is playing Zuckuss on turn 2 and then just playing a 4-lom. Is pretty sick. Like Zuckuss, cool. Like they're looking at figuring out ways to do something, and you're just like, okay, now he's a 7/7, and I attack with his 5/5.
Yeah, you follow it. You do it like the opposite way. That's cool.
Right.
All right, next card is Maddie. Another one of yours, Huyang.
Yeah,
Jedi.
I freaking love Huyang, man. Like I like that, he can go in villainy or hero, and he's like a little like kind of like a fleet, not a wing leader. He's like this 3 cost +2/+2, where that has to be dealt with. It's going to let your guys trade up. Like I love that about this game. Like when your 2-drop can effectively take out their second turn play, their 3-resource play. That's going to leave you in good shape. Pairs with some of the coordinate cards, and then like. I was looking at some crazy like Kira lines with like the shielded Hylabons. Like you shield a Hylabon on turn 1, then you play Huyang the second turn, and now you're just cooking.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, like I know people are taking out Hylabon to try things, but I'm like, well, actually, I think he could even be better now with this Huyang thing. So there's a lot of applications.
Yeah, you could shield
This
him
is like a
too.
good value
I'd
card.
love to see more aggro out of Kira, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
And you can put a General Saber on it and get cooking.
What is this guy from, Mike?
He's from the Clone Wars. He's from my favorite episodes of the Clone Wars. The when Ahsoka takes all the younglings to find their lightsabers on Ilum,
Oh yeah,
which becomes Starkiller Base.
He's that guy who's like leading her.
He was in the Ahsoka show too,
And then
right?
he was in the Ahsoka show. Yeah, he was the droid that was with
Yeah.
her and Sabine training them on the ship. He was like the third lead, David Tennant.
Wait, Ahsoka hangs out with Sabine?
In the future,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
They're
Yeah.
That's cool.
In
Dude, I'm way
Rebels-
behind on my
in
thing.
Rebels, yeah, the like, not to spoil
It's like
the
her
finale of
master
Rebels, but
friend.
like, yeah, and they like the final shot of the series is like them teaming up.
Oh, cool.
To go like solve a mystery, and then then the Ahsoka show is all about her and Sabine and Huyang.
Well, Huyang fucks,
Yeah,
so
he does. I love the Jedi trait. Yeah, being able to carry the General Saber is really a cool lore. He's the guy who like helps every Jedi build their lightsaber. He's the Ollivander of lightsabers. He
Oh,
remembers
that's cool.
every lightsaber.
That's a
ever
sick
built.
reference.
wait,
That's a great.
that's
one.
super sick then, and that makes sense why he like General Blade on him is like goated.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's such like it's one of the best early applications for that card, right? Other than like Guardian of the Wolves, which is super fragile. So then you just plop him on
Well,
Huyang.
they always knock lore like right out of the park with this game, but also just
Yeah.
like he's the guy that trains he's like the Jedi teacher, and so
And then he gives him
makes
the
everyone
plus,
+2/+2 because he teaches them up.
Yeah, I love that, man.
cool.
Yeah. I think he's a good card. I'm excited to throw him in a bunch of decks.
Yeah, he's gonna be so highly played because of how like he goes and everything. And I got one right here.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Because like, granted, like he's a green card, but like one of the things that people went on a like divergence with in the early like Han 1 deck, right? It was like, do you play the good stuff or do you play the rebel? Or like, when we're going into Sabine now, it's like, do we want to go good stuff or we want to keep rebels? Huyang lets you kind of lean into the good stuff more, which is a good value play if you're playing the good stuff and you get like your own kind of mini wing leader.
Yeah.
So.
All right, next up is Steve's card, Yoda Leader, and you said you were excited to pair this with You're My Only Hope.
Yes, sir. Kind of touching upon what Justin was talking about earlier with there are only 2 of them, cheating, getting around the natural curve in this game, I think is important. We saw the strength of Han 1 and what he's able to do by ramping. So I think any type of combination of cards that lets you get ahead on the board resource-wise, you're inevitably going to be able to control the board a little bit better. So I really like the Yoda leader in the set. I mean, a little dumpy that he's a 7 deploy because it's so late in the game, but I think his ability is really strong. And pairing that ability with You're My Only Hope, I think can be absolutely bonkers. I've been working on a red-blue list right now where the goal is trying to get Poe out on turn 2. So through your 3-resource turn, if your 2-drop trades with their 2-drop or dies to their 2-drop or kills it or whatever, on your turn you get to activate Yoda's ability. And if you have a Poe in your hand, or even the 5-drop Ray, I've been thinking works really well too, because that restore ability on her helps her stick around. But you're able to manipulate your deck, and it's kind of like a built-in brainstorm. So like, think about brainstorming, putting a card on the top, and then playing Dark Confidant. That was broken in Magic for years, and this kind of combination lets you get to do that. And You're My Only Hope doesn't necessarily have to be jammed out on 3. Like with the blue red we saw with Ray this set, like it's a great option for some lame great things. Early Obi-Wan. You can even jam out like an early crate. Like it doesn't necessarily have to happen on turn 2, the 3 resource turn. Like at any point in time when you're gaining two resources, you can drop something bigger. And like it seems in testing so far, I mean, I'm not hitting it always on turn 2, but I am consistently being able to cheat things out with You're My Only Hope because of Yoda's ability.
That's sick.
Yeah, and because we focus and constructed on cards that have insane enter the play abilities like Luke, even like Ambush, like Mace Windu, there are a lot of guys, like you can use this just to play a guy that's going to take over the game immediately. Especially the Luke. Luke is kind of crazy when you can trade into something and then play this early and use Luke to kill whatever they just played in between. Seems like it's really sick.
It just ends up being really versatile too, and the fact that you are playing a slow leader against decks like Sabine and things like that, like running out Redemption 2 turns early, just healing up a bunch, that will allow you to survive until you actually get to play Yoda. And like his come into play ability himself is really strong.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's cool.
He's going to help flip corners, then his restore will claw you back. Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah,
He's just got to build the deck that can get him there.
Exactly.
All right. Anything else about Yoda before we move on to some Qs? Some Qs and As?
No.
Get to the Qs. Get to the A's.
Oh, wait. No, we have to talk about Infinite Combo. Forgot about this.
The Nambo.
The Nambo. This is so there's an Infinite Combo in Star Wars Unlimited right now, and it involves a lot of cards. It involves like having Sandhill out, having
Admiral 84.
Yeah, we got the 84. Can you program this and like can you reskin Drug Runner to be like Infinite Combo Breaker in the
battery is low.
So you need Trench, Maudie, another random guy, and Sandhill. And the idea is you play another Trench, sacking Maudie, Trench, and the Super Battle Droid. When you sack Maudie, you ready Sandhill. You attack with Sandhill for 3, and he readies resources for each unit defeated that turn. So the first time he does this, he'll ready 3 resources, and that'll allow you to essentially, I think you might need Sand ready. The thing is, it gets really convoluted on how you replay everything, but you need like 9 resources. So he readies 3. You replay Maudie, you replay Trench, sacking the Maudie. And but the key is, once you do this twice, Sand then untaps your whole resource row. So then you can just keep sacking Trench and Maudie to get Trench and Maudie back and replay them. But the key is getting Sand to untap your whole row. That's sort of the trick. And there's some other ways to do this because like we can use Clone to find other pieces of the puzzle, especially the extra Trench. We can use the Reanimator card now that plays a card ready. I forget the name of that card off the top of my head. I had it up earlier. To get a piece of the puzzle in here, possibly from the discard pile if someone tries to disrupt it. It does go off really, really late in the game because of how many resources you need. But one thing that I haven't explored, and it's just going to take some time, is how early you can do it by sacking other things like battle droids or whatever it is to just get that Sand Hill untap, the resource readying online fastest.
So how do you actually win?
You attack with Sand Hill infinite times until they could be at 10,000 and you just get to do it.
He's ready, yeah.
Because he's readying, and then he's readying all your resources. And you need 2 Trenches and a Maudie, and like to start with, you just need any other guy so that when Sand attacks that first time, he readies 3 and you can do it again.
The issue I would say with this combo is it looks great, but how do you beat General Grievous with 4 lightsabers? Because you've got 4 units here and they're all going to be defeated.
Yeah, well, you figured out the counter.
By my combo.
There's a lot of, the thing is, it happens so late in the game. It's so disruptible. The important thing to note, I'm not saying like this is going to go win anything, but the important thing to note is that now we have the pieces possible. So when things like Reanimator cards come into play, or we get into these late control game matches and people aren't ready for it, there is a world where these cards are like Maudie, Trench, and Sand are just in a deck that when the stars align and you can reanimate them because the green and yellow have Reanimator cards, that it is somewhere in, like it can even beat the mill decks, which are trying to mill you because they're putting all your things into your graveyard. It's just like very classic. It's important that we know an infinite combo exists so that as more cards come out or more situations come out that we might be able to execute it, we're aware and potentially deploy it.
So it could theoretically come out with, if you had 3 units just out, like say you had like just a lot of tokens, right? Like there's just you're trying to delay it to the point where you get tokens. You could do it with really just the top 3 cards. Like you would always have it because you could just play Mahdi for 2, and then you could even like start with it.
The key is you need to loop trenches. So like when you play a trench, he dies and then he immediately gets himself back. But you can do that with clone too.
But all you need is those top 3 cards.
Yeah, but you need 2 trenches.
He can't exploit.
He can exploit himself when you play him. But he needs to be in the graveyard to get back with trench.
I see.
But that's why
I'm
clone,
lost.
That's why clone.
But that's
works.
okay.
It's okay. You need to loop your trenches so you always have one in play, and that one is returning the other one that just died.
Yeah, that seems hard to be based on like the 2 copies type thing. Obviously, like the clone thing's nice,
And
but
the
that
reanimator
seems
cards.
tricky.
The reanimator cards also get it popping. It no doubt it's tricky. I don't expect this to win very many games,
Yeah,
if any games at all. But what I want people to know is that it exists.
It's a thing that
and
exists.
It's a thing. And honestly,
it's all subterfuge.
there's
he already
people.
broke it.
There's
He
people
knows
with
how it
bigger.
works.
There's people with bigger combo brains than I, for sure.
Yeah.
That will probably crack this a little bit better. But I think that all the pieces are there, and I wanted to shout it out
That's cool.
on the pod. Now we can talk about listener questions. Matt, are you talking? Because I think you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. I muted my mic. That's fine. I had said the clones, and then the other thing I was going to say really quick was it's important to have those things in the game, even if they're convoluted, for the points you said, but also, like, I just think of, like, growing up playing Magic, like, kids around the kitchen table, like, someone wants to have a combo deck. Like, I think that's healthy, even if it's kind of stupid just for, like, or inefficient just for the validity of the game. Like, I think those things need to exist.
This could end up being like
Twin Suns
broken
viable?
Twin Suns. Yeah, that's who knows?
Yeah.
But
that's
it's
cool.
out there, and it's something that the game didn't have and now has. So it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.